Hi, welcome to class today. My name is Emily Jones, and this is Tensegrity Flow Yoga Level 2 class. And what makes Level 2 different than Level 1 classes are the speed of the class. So we'll move at a little more quick tempo, and there will be less verbal instruction. So I'll still give instruction, but less than what I'll give in a Level 1 class. So if you need more instructions, then go back and check out the Level 1 videos. And we'll begin now. So go ahead and take a seat. Any seat will do. It could even be sitting in a chair. So just be sure that you're comfortable and that your spine can lengthen and that your shoulders can roll onto your back comfortably and your eyes can close. And we'll start to bring the attention to the breathing, knowing that the breath is the most important part of our practice. It sets the tone and the tempo for our body to move. With each breath, find your body becoming a little more expansive. So your ribs expand, your collarbones will lift a little taller. Your scapula will widen a bit further, all on the breath in. When you breathe out, feel those places soften, release, relax. So the inhales work us into that big, expansive fullness, all the way to the top, maybe even pausing at the top. Holding the breath slightly in and then exhale all the way to the bottom. Feeling any tension, leaving the mind, leaving your body. The two are united, combined. So one influences and affects the other. All right, now let's come into a table. So go ahead into your tabletop position and we'll begin to physically move with our breath. So on the exhale, we'll move into a cat tilt, chin to chest, tailbone tucks under. And on your inhale, you'll move into your dog tilt, with the chin and the sit bones rising. And then a few times between those two positions. And using this simple move to really coordinate your breath to your movements, coordinate your movements to your breath. The tempo that we set now will be following through the rest of our practice. And then you can continue here with just straight cat, dog tilt, or maybe you add anxiety by hugging the right knee into the chest. And then inhale the chin up and the leg behind you. Imagine that you're going to press your foot into the wall behind you. So really firm with your right leg. And then again, exhale into a baby cheetah. And then inhale into an extended cat. All right, let's do that one more time. Exhale, baby cheetah, hug, hold. And then inhale, extended cat. And then we'll bring the leg down. Let's tuck both toes under. We'll start by lifting the knees up so we slide back into the feet, into the balls of the feet, and then lift your knees into downward facing dog. And for the first dog, it's always nice to pedal it out. Maybe you pedal your feet. And of course, moving in rhythm with your breath. So it's still slow, rhythmic, and perfectly timed with the breath. Remember the grounding points in your hands. Stabilizing into the arms, strengthening up through the arms. And then we're going to take both heels way up to the sky. So 10 toes reach up, slight bends in the knees, keeping the slight bend in the knees as we lower the heels toward the floor. Keeping the arches lifted. So even as the heels are melting, the arches are rising, like an arch or a bridge. And then let's rise once more, high to 10 toes, As slow as you can, slow motion. Come back down onto your mat. And let's go back to child's pose. So ridge top your fingers. So dome the hands, pressing the chest back toward the thighs. And if the head doesn't touch easily, that's okay. You can either stack your hands or even just let the head hover. It's okay. So find this comfortable, symmetrical position. And then breathe in a way that changes the shape of your rib cage. And then inhale. Come back into hands and knees. Return into your cat-cow. So exhale, cat. Inhale into cow. And again, you can keep moving in that simple movement or bringing the left knee into the chest. And then slowly extend the leg back behind you. Now move with resistance here. So every movement, we're either applying resistance physically with our body parts, or in an action like this, we have to apply the resistance through the mind. So imagine that you're moving in water, or maybe that you have a weight on your ankle. All right, let's do one more time. So exhale, we'll hug in. Inhale, we'll extend, firm the glutes, firm the chest. Whole body is active. Try not to flare the ribs and collapse the belly here, but stay drawn upright. And then we'll release the leg down, tuck the toes, slide back into the balls of the feet as you lift your legs, straightening the knees into downward facing dog. And pedal the feet again if you feel that you need to. That's very helpful in finding release. So those are called vinyasa movements, when we move in time with the breath in a rhythmic, repetitive way. You can do those all the time, in every movement, finding a vinyasa. Let's look between the hands. We'll step the left foot to the hand. So left foot goes to the back of the left hand, right foot to the back of the right hand. So the feet are hips width apart. And then slide your hands up to your block on either the small setting, medium, or highest setting. Even if you can touch the floor, use your block. And then let your arms press strong into the block so you take some of the pressure out of your legs. And then breathe into any parts that feel resistant or tight, overly tense. And see if by nothing more than the breath can you begin to soften those areas in your body. You can start by relaxing your face and your jaw. It will affect your whole body. Relax your mind. And then release your block. Inhale, strong spine. Let's come all the way up into standing. Imagine that you're holding a beach ball between your hands so that we have some resistance in the arms. Inhale, and then exhale. Bring the hands down to your sides. Let's sit into a chair here. So as we sit to the chair position, we'll slide our groin creases back. And you can have a slight tip in your pelvis. So you don't want to be tucked under, but not also flared with the ribs. So draw the ribs inward, but keep the pelvic floor moving back and wide. And then maybe the arms come up. You can also keep your hands on your thighs here and gently press your hands, or maybe not gently, like really press your hands into the top of your thighs and give your ribs something to lift and extend against. And so as you press down, lifting your rib cage up, breathing, maybe then come onto the paws of the feet, so onto the balls of the feet. And you feel here that with this pressing down, the stability that creates, you'll have more mobility and feel stronger in the posture. Now we can take the arms back up then, but try to keep that level steady as we reach. Stay firm in both glutes, lifting and rising, lifting and mounting the glutes. And then we're going to tip the chest forward, stay into your chair, tipping the chest forward. And then as the hands come to the floor or to your blocks, then you're going to work your knees towards straight. The knees can stay bent, either micro bent or super bent the whole time. So please remember that straight knees is not necessary. It actually is not even really desired. So slight bends. All right, now let's sit back down into that chair. So you've got to hug in through your low belly to draw your sit bones back and wide. Inhale, lift the arms up, chest comes up. And then we'll bring the hands once more back onto the top of the thighs. Press down, lift your ribs up against the strength of your arms. Maybe your heels are hovering here. So it's just a light hover. It's not high like a stiletto heel, but very low, just enough to maybe slide a thick piece of paper under. And then we're going to take our arms once more back up, lift, and then come forward. So reach like you're trying to hand someone that beach ball in front of you. And then as the hands touch down, then the knees will go straight. So gradually we're working into this posture, the forward fold deeper by activating the legs to do that. All right, one more time. So let's bend the knees, lift up through the arms, lift up through the chest. Breathe in here and then bring your hands onto the top of your thighs. So I turn my fingers in. So my fingers are facing the inside of the legs. Lift, press the hands into the legs into the hands. Breathe. And then as we bring our arms back up, maintaining the stability, stretch your chest forward to your hands. Stretch your sit bones back and wide. As the arms come down, then the legs can go straight. Maybe move your block out of the way. And then let's step ourselves back into a plank. As we come into our plank, we're going to move weight more forward into the front of the hands, so not so much weight into the base of the palms, which kind of hurts the wrists. And then lower down slowly to the floor. And then we're going to come into a Sphinx, a Cobra, or an Up Dog. Now to do that, we kind of roll our shoulders back to lift, and then the arms can slide out in front. Press down into your hands, pull the mat back. Press into the top of your feet to anchor the legs. Try to widen the scapula and the collarbones at the same rate. Feel your ribs moving like fish gills, expanding and then compressing. And then release. Let's come all the way down. Take the arms, reach them out in front of you. Inhale, the right arm and the left leg come up. And then you'll press down into the opposites. So what's on the ground, the arm and the leg on the ground, push down into those. Lift, breathe, release, and do the other side. So opposite arms lift, opposite leg lifts, and then push down into the floor. What's touching the floor? Now notice how that gives you ability to lift off. And then release. Let's do that one more on each side. So right and left, opposite lift. And then ground to lift and stabilize and to strengthen. And release. Last time, other side. So we lift. We only get so far when we don't stabilize. So then we'll ground down, stabilizing down, and feel that final lift off. And then release. And then for symmetry, let's do arms and legs both together. So both arms, both legs extending. And then let's hug the arms back behind. So elbows come toward each other. Keep pressing your legs like you're trying to touch the wall behind you. Engage your pelvic floor muscles in and up. Keep breathing. And then extend, reach. Like you're pushing the arms away with weights, like the arms have weights in them. Let's do that one more time. So hugging the arms back like you're holding weights in your hands. Breathe, 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 and then exhale. Press your arms forward again like there's weights in your hands. And then stack your hands, head on top of stacked hands, and then a windshield wiper for the shins. It's actually a windshield wiper for the hips. So we're moving from the hips here, internal and external rotation for the hips. Move in time with your breath. Slower is always better. Slower is stronger, and slower is also helping to relax the nervous system. And then we'll extend our legs. Let's bring the hands underneath the shoulders, press up, back to your hands and knees, and let's re-enter into that plank. So as we come into our plank pose, we're going to bring then the left shin. Let's bring it down to the floor, and then we'll pivot open. So we're coming up onto a standing position on the mat. So we're standing on the knee. Let's take the arms, we'll reach them nice and wide. Inhale here. And then as you exhale, let's extend the arm over into gate pose, Paridasana. So don't feel like you have to stretch so much to the wall, but it's more to the ceiling and then like gently toward the wall. So more about length and less about just depth. And then inhale, we'll come up, and then we're gonna slide that arm down all the way to the floor. Swing the right arm over, extending, breathing. And then with your core strength, stand up, try to go slow. Left arm reaches right up to the ceiling. Inhale, exhale, little crescent over to the side. And then all the way around. This time we're going to go just halfway and bring your hands behind your head. So my elbows are more in the front plane. The hands are in the back plane. And I'm going to press my head and my hands together to create a force, a grounding force. Creating stability, creating strength. And then inhale, let's come up. And then we'll cartwheel the arm down to the floor. That leg pivots back around and returns into our plank pose. As we find the plank, let's do a belly vinyasa here. So that is a chaturanga push-up. Slow motion brings us down through an exhale. And we'll pull forward up into a cobra, sphinx, or an upward facing dog pose. I'm in up dog where the hips are actually lifted off the floor. And then we can tuck over our toes, returning into plank. And then I like to go back through crouching cat first and then to down dog. So that helps to reset the pelvis into that anterior tip so we can do dog pose more comfortably. And then breathe. Return into a plank. Hugging into the solid core for plank. Solid arms. Try not to let your head drag here. So use your neck muscles to support the rest of your spine. Hug in those low belly muscles. And then we'll bring the right knee down onto the floor. And I'm going to do this one facing away from the camera so you can get the opposite view. And then we'll extend, the arm comes up, and you can see the foot kind of pivots back, and then you can stand all the way up into your gate pose. Let the left arm slide down, right arm reaching to the sky. Inhale, exhale, slide over into your gate where we're reaching more up to the space where the wall and the ceiling meet. And then inhale around, keep lengthening your ribs away from your pelvis. Extend, modified side plank. And then once more with your core, so go slow so you'll be strengthening your core as you come up. Extend the right arm to the sky, inhaling, and then exhale, gate. If you plant your left hand and press it into the leg gently, you'll find that gives your ribs something to reach up against, away from. So again, we're intentionally creating that grounding force. And then inhale, let's come up, hands come behind your head. Elbows are in the front plane, halfway over, and hold. So strong core. I'm pressing my head back into my arms, pressing my arms forward into my head. So strong in both directions. Again, try to keep your head from dangling and dragging. Stay strong. Inhale, let's come up. And then we'll release the arm down. We're going to cartwheel the hand down to the floor. You can pivot on the knee, returning into your plank. Once more, belly vinyasa, chaturanga. Chest and hips touch at the same time. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Breathing. And then exhale back into crouching cat. So you bend your knees first, move your ribs back towards your thighs, and then straighten the legs, down dog. Breathe. All right, we're gonna step the left foot in one footprint in, and then extend that right leg up into full extended dog pose. Keeping the hips squaring. And then we'll open the hip. Go ahead and let your hips open so right hip stacks on top of the left. And then we're gonna come into a cheetah, hugging the knee to the chest, really pressing off with your left foot and into your hands. Stay far away from the floor. Extend the leg up again, 3-point. And then we're gonna bring the knee toward the outside of the elbow. So as your knee comes to the outside of the elbow, see if you can start to bring your right foot toward your left arm. And then up again, 3-point. And then we're gonna do that same action and go into a pigeon. So we're bringing the knee to the outside of the arm. The right foot goes to the left hand. We're gonna slide that leg back into a full pigeon pose. Now, if this puts pressure in your front knee, then I recommend bringing a block and placing it under the top of the back leg, like on top of the thigh, or even like directly underneath of your pelvis. So you can just kind of sit on top of your block. Another option is to slide it underneath of your hip, but then that kind of pushes you forward. So just, work with the block and find the one that's best suited for your body. And then come here, holding. Breathe into the hip. If you find that your body is able, you can always come down onto your forearms. And try not to dangle the head, but stay lengthened. Breathing. And imagine your right hip is a balloon. So each inhale, you're going to fill the balloon full, nice and wide, expanding in all directions. And as you breathe out, imagine that balloon empty of all of that air, of all of the space, so it becomes completely loose and flaccid, empty. So the inhales will expand, and the exhales will release. And let's come back up. And as we do this, we're going to tuck the back toes under, press into your hands. So you can easily slide that leg out from underneath of you. Move your block if you have one. And then once more, we're going to come down through chaturanga to the belly. And we'll pause into a back bend of choice. So Sphinx Cobra or Up Dog, fully extending the spine. Inhaling. And then release as you exhale. We're going to take the right arm out so the hand and the shoulder are even with each other. And then roll onto your right side. And as you do that, flex the ankles, pulling the chest toward the left hand, stabilizing your breath. And then release to your belly. And then here we are back onto the chest. So let's come back to our hands and knees, tuck the toes, work back into that downward facing dog. And we're going to do the cheetah on the other side. So first, setting up for the cheetah, bringing the right foot in one footprint, left knee to the chest, and then to the sky, 3-point. Holding strong arms. So feel this long line of energy from your pinkies, fingers, all the way up through the outside of your shoulders to your hips, out through the legs. And then open your hip so the hips can stack. And then exhale, cheetah, hugging the knee to the chest. Shoulders come forward over your hands, pushing off the hands, off of the right toes. Inhale, extend the leg once more, 3-point. And then exhale, left knee to the outside of the left elbow, the left foot is coming toward the right hand. So you're like setting up your cheetah. And then inhale, extend. And now we're going all the way into cheetah. So we'll bring the left knee, kind of swirls over to the right elbow first, and then to the left hand. And then we'll take our hips, and notice when I do that, I kind of set my front leg in place, then tuck the back toe, and then slide the hips back into the shape. So instead of just popping straight down to the floor, you kind of lean forward and then lean back into it. And then use your block. Make sure that you're always protecting your knees. Breathe. And then we'll come down. That feels right in your body. Closing your eyes. Going back to the balloon meditation in the left hip. All the way, expanded balloon in the hip on the inhale, and pause there. Let that fullness expand all the way through the hip joint, and then on your breath out, completely empty the hips. Huge pockets of stress. So using the visualization to help the body release strain and struggle. Let's take another breath. And then we'll come back up, lifting the chest, planting the hands under the shoulders, tuck your back toes under so you can lift your hips up off of the block, back into your plank, holding into the plank, moving the block out of the way, and then exhale to the belly, slow and strong. And then move your chest over towards your right hand, extend your left arm. So hand and elbow and shoulder are even. You have a right angle between your hand and your hip. So the shoulder joint is a right angle. And then hug the knees into the chest. Gently drawing the chest over towards your right arm here. Plant the left arm deep into the floor. Try to keep the head lifted just enough so that the neck is balanced. And then we'll release. Return onto your belly. As we come to the belly, returning to the center of the mat, our final posture, final spinal extension is going to be reaching back. Maybe you find your ankles. Maybe you just reach for your ankles into upward facing bow pose. So the feet will lift toward the sky. And breathe deep enough that you can rock forward to the front of your ribs and then back onto the pelvis. And try not to do that with your muscular effort, but really from the movement of your diaphragm. So you're strengthening and training that diaphragmatic muscles. Maybe two more here. Last time. And then release. Come all the way down as you reach your arms forward. Long prone position. And then we're going to roll onto the back. So you can take one of your arms and it's going to thread it under the shoulder, the opposite shoulder, and that should flip you over comfortably to your back. Hug the knees, rock a few times from side to side. And I always like to finish with a happy baby pose, or a half happy baby in this case. So bring the left foot down, hook your right big toes with the peace fingers, and right knee to the outside of the right shoulder. And notice my left hip is lifted a bit. That's okay. It doesn't have to stay grounded. And then we'll release. So bring the right leg down. Go ahead and switch to your left foot, finding the big toe grip and the left knee to the outside of the left shoulder. And breathe. And then for good measure, let's switch again. So it's always good to repeat. You can go deeper in with the repetition. Won't hold it quite as long. Right knee, maybe it goes all the way to the floor this time. And hold it for as long as you like. When you're ready to switch, you switch. So left knee to the outside of the shoulder. And working toward the floor, but not struggling to get there. Just working in that direction. And then we'll do a full baby. So holding on to the feet. And for today's class, we didn't do any wide angle posture. So if you like, this is a good place just to straighten your legs and extend out into a wide straddle. And then we'll release, bringing the feet down. As we bring our feet down, we're going to press into the hands and work into a modified shoulder stand. So working the shoulders together here as we bring the hands to the back of the hips. And I like to make like a shelf with my hands so the fingertips are actually facing outward. That puts the shoulders in the nice externally rotated position. And then you could stay here, playing around in this modified bridge, or kick one foot at a time up into another modification of bridge, which is a half shoulder stand. At this point, I've turned my fingers so they face up toward the sitting bones. And maybe you're working into your full shoulder stand, where you're bringing your hands down to the ribs and lifting the feet to the sky. And try to strengthen the legs so much here that you're really not relying on your arms to hold you. You're relying on your core strength to hold your body in this position. Keep breathing. Then we'll bring the feet back behind the head, working into a modified plow pose. This is probably the hardest posture for me. So modified plow pose, and you can have your feet about hips width, the knees can be bent. And then we'll roll a vertebra at a time, coming back onto our back. As we bring the legs down, almost there, almost in Shavasana. But first we're going to then take the hands and massage the neck, just kind of resetting that cervical curve from the shoulder stand. So you're pushing on the muscles on the sides of your neck. So not on the bone, not on the vertebral bones. There on each side. And you can also just kind of run the fingers down into any knots or tense pockets that you find there. I know my neck is full of little knots, so a little attention there is nice. All right, and then we'll go into Shavasana. So bring the arms comfortably to the sides, closing your eyes. Get really comfortable. So if your back feels unhappy, you can always bend your knees or even bring your legs up onto the wall. But you've got to be able to forget about your body here. If you're uncomfortable, it's going to keep your mind and your nervous system triggered. So we want to forget the body. Relax your legs and your arms. You feel everything very even and smooth and balanced. Relax your face, especially your eyes. So relax your eyelids, the corners of your eyes, both the inner and outer corners. The eyeballs themselves, feel the eyeballs release in the sockets and sink down towards your brain. Feel your brain release and relax with your eyes. And let that trickle down through your whole body. Focusing only on your breath. If you should become distracted, then just return to your breath. Once your mind wanders, simply return to focusing on the breath. Turn your attention to your body. Notice if there's anywhere that you can relax more deeply into. So maybe now you adjust a bit so that you can become even more comfortable, more emptied. Returning attention to the breath again. And begin to move the body with the breath. So as you inhale, you'll extend your fingers, extend your toes. As you exhale, you'll release them. In time with your breath, extend your arms overhead with the inhale. And then bend the knees with the exhale. With your inhale, roll to your side. And with the exhale, return into your seat. And then simply sit in quiet for a moment and observe your practice, the effect of your practice on your body, on your mind, on your energy, on your spirit. Maybe return to this feeling through the day when you find yourself struggling or stressed. Just pause and come back to this sensation of peace and tranquility. And bring the hands to the heart, and then bow to honor yourself, to honor the practice. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste. Thank you.